All right, so ever feel like you're totally lost when you're trying to figure out which apartments will get a ton of applications?
Yeah, it's like, a total guessing game.
Totally like throwing darts blindfolded.
Exactly.
Well, today we're going to hand you the cheat codes
Ooh, I like cheat codes.
because we are diving into some seriously cool data analysis about apartments.
Yeah, and what makes people want to rent them.
Exactly.
And I got to say, the results are kind of surprising. We're not just talking about, the obvious stuff here.
Right.
This analyst went deep, like really deep,
Okay.
building a whole model to predict application numbers, and they used a ton of data.
Oh, wow. So this is like serious data science.
Oh, yeah, it's hardcore.
Okay.
Apartments sold between 2007 and 2011.
Wow. So they really dug into this. We love getting our hands dirty with this kind of stuff here on the deep dive.
Yeah, we love a good deep dive.
And I think whether you are like knee deep in a real estate deal or just like me,
Yeah.
super curious about apartments and like how this whole thing works,
Mhm.
get ready for some serious aha moments.
Yeah, you're going to see listings in a whole new light.
Okay, so let's just get right into it.
That's good.
Let's talk about, I guess, like the elephant in the room, or I guess the really spacious studio apartment in the,
Trendy neighborhood.
mid-trendy neighborhood. Yes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us would assume that if the apartment is bigger, it's going to get more applications.
Right, more competition.
Yeah, like more people are going to want it.
It seems so obvious.
Yeah.
But that's not actually what this data shows.
Oh, really?
It's kind of a curveball. The total square footage of the apartment didn't really predict how many applications it got.
Interesting.
What really mattered was the price per square foot.
Hold on. So you're saying it's not about being the biggest apartment, it's about being the best deal.
Exactly.
You got it.
Tell me more about this.
It's like, that feeling when you're shopping online and you see a great sale
Yes.
and you're like, oh, I could add that to my cart.
Yes.
It's the thrill of the deal, but instead of like shoes,
Yeah.
it's an apartment that you actually need.
Okay.
We're all kind of hardwired to look for a good bargain.
Right.
And that is definitely true in the rental market.
Okay. So it's about getting more bang for your buck.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But how do you even measure that when it comes to apartments?
Well, this analyst, they were clever about it.
They looked at each apartment and they compared the price to other similar apartments in the same neighborhood.
Oh, that is smart.
Yeah. So if the apartment was priced a lot lower than its neighbors,
Yeah.
they got a ton of applications.
It's like a flood of applications.
Exactly. An avalanche.
Wow, that's really interesting. And it makes so much sense because I feel like these days, everybody's comparison shopping.
Oh, yeah, for everything.
So even if you're not like consciously doing it, I feel like we're all kind of like mentally comparing prices.
Totally. It's just automatic.
And so for anyone out there who's thinking about renting out their place,
Yes.
this is huge.
Big time.
Because your pricing strategy could be like the difference between getting a ton of applicants or none.
Totally. It can make or break you.
Wow.
But price isn't the only interesting thing in this report.
Okay, what else?
Brace yourself. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Student housing is a huge factor.
Really? Student housing?
Yeah, they're driving applications like crazy.
Wait, so how can you even tell who's a student just by looking at rental data?
Okay, so they didn't have to go undercover or anything,
Okay.
but they did notice something interesting.
What's that?
Way more apartments got rented in July and August.
Oh, like right when students are moving for school?
Exactly. It's the back-to-school rush.
That's a really clever way to figure that out.
Right.
Like a little data detective work.
Exactly.
But I mean, this data is from a while back, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So do we know if students are still like rushing to get apartments in July and August these days? I mean, things have changed,
You're right. With online classes and everything, it makes you wonder.
Yeah, it does.
Like, have those seasonal trends totally changed?
Right, yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Like, data could be super insightful,
Mhm.
but the world keeps changing, right?
Yeah,
Things are always evolving.
For sure. It's true. Things are always changing, but it never seems to go out of style.
What's that?
Bathrooms.
Oh, yeah. Everybody loves a good bathroom.
Especially when it comes to apartments.
Right. Who wants to be fighting over the bathroom in the morning?
Exactly. And this report actually like really gets into how important bathrooms are.
Oh, yeah. They found that the number of bathrooms per square foot was a huge deal.
Really?
Like, way more important than you might think.
Okay, so imagine this. You find this like amazing deal on an apartment.
Okay.
Huge, tons of space.
Okay. Love it.
But then you realize only one bathroom.
Oh, no.
And you've got roommates.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Right. Suddenly all that extra space isn't so great.
Not at all. It's all about functionality.
Right.
Like, having enough bathrooms isn't just about being luxurious. It's about having your own space and some privacy.
Totally.
And this report found that renters really, really care about that.
Yeah, like even more than I thought they would.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
Like a tiny studio apartment with its own bathroom.
Right.
Way more appealing than a huge place with only one bathroom.
Oh, absolutely. I know which one I would choose.
You too.
Okay, so we've talked bathrooms, but let's talk about something else that's super important.
Okay.
Location, location, location.
Right. The classic real estate trifecta.
Exactly. And this report actually points out some neighborhoods that were like consistently less popular with renters.
It's wild how much variation you can see.
I know, right?
Like even within the same city.
Yeah.
Some neighborhoods are just in higher demand.
So did they say why these particular places were less popular?
Well, this report focused more on what drives applications,
Okay.
not so much the why.
Okay. So they give us the clues, but we have to solve the mystery ourselves.
Exactly. It's like a real estate riddle.
I like it.
But even without knowing all the reasons behind it,
Yeah.
this data is pretty amazing.
It is really cool.
Like for anyone listening who's thinking, okay, this is cool and all,
Yeah.
but how does this actually help me?
Right.
Well, it's like getting a backstage pass to the world of real estate.
I like it.
You know now how important pricing is.
Right.
Bathrooms are basically gold, and location can make or break your chances of finding a great place.
Or renting out your place.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like we have all the insider info now.
We cracked the code.
But it's funny, like, knowing all this stuff makes me want to predict the future of apartments.
Oh, yeah. Put on your prediction hat.
Like, this report said attached garages were a big deal for renters.
Which made sense back then.
Right.
But now,
Yeah. Like, is that still true?
with ride sharing and everything,
And people wanting to drive less?
I bet things like bike storage
Yes.
and EV charging stations,
Yeah.
those are becoming way more important.
You're so right. It's like this data is a total time capsule.
Totally.
It's so cool to see how much has changed even in the past few years.
Yeah, for sure.
And it gets you thinking about, like, what's next?
Right, like what's the next big thing?
Like, what about those student rentals?
Oh, yeah, they were already competitive back then.
I know. What could landlords even do to make those apartments even better?
Right, like what does a super student apartment even look like?
Ooh. I like that.
Imagine like dedicated study lounges
Yes.
with super fast Wi-Fi,
Okay.
or even co-working spaces
That's cool.
designed for group projects.
That would be awesome.
Or what about flexible lease terms
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
that actually line up with the school year?
Okay, those are some next level amenities.
Right.
It's crazy how this data can spark so many ideas.
It is really interesting.
It's like looking at the past helps us unlock the future of apartment living.
I love that.
Right.
It's like we're time travelers.
And that's what I love about these deep dives.
Good too.
It's not just about, finding out what's what.
Right.
It's about asking those what if questions.
Exactly. Those are the fun ones.
Okay, so for everyone listening,
Yes.
what were your, big takeaways from this episode?
Yeah. What really stood out to you?
Have you noticed any of these trends, in your own apartment hunts?
Or if you're a landlord,
Yeah. Has this changed the way you think about things?
want to hear about it.
Yeah, tell us everything.
Because the best conversations happen
Yeah,
when we all share our experiences.
totally.
You never know. Your story could be the spark
Ooh,
that leads to the next big innovation
I love it.
in the apartment world.
Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to sign off.
Okay.
Until next time, happy apartment hunting, everyone.